some new things that I've tried out. So I'm hoping there's something new, something fresh for everyone who's joined today. And I hope everyone goes back learning something new about Power Apps galleries. So let's get started with the session on working with Power Apps galleries. Promise a little bit about me. I'm a Microsoft Business Applications MVP and a Microsoft certified trainer. I work at my organization, Catapult Systems, as a principal consultant. I'm also one of the leaders of the Houston Power Platform user group. And of course, I am a content creator, extremely passionate about sharing knowledge with the community. And I do that through my YouTube channel mainly. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter as well for all updates on the Power Platform. As you can see, I speak fast and my slides also tend to go very fast. So they are all running with me. Uh, let's begin with the learning objectives for today's session. We will look at an overview of the gallery control. Then we will look at some design options around Power Apps galleries. We will see how we can use the gallery as an editable grid. We will see how we can use galleries in the form of tabs. We will see how we can use galleries as filters for filtering our data from our data source. Most of these in the form of demos. And of course, we will then close out with Q&A at the end. So I'll go ahead and close my camera actually because I need to save a little bit of bandwidth. So once again, hello and thank you for joining this session. So let's get started with the gallery control in Power Apps. So what is the gallery control in Power Apps? And we are specifically talking about Canvas apps here. So in Canvas apps, if you've ever built an app, a standard app, and you've connected to your data source, you must have used the gallery control. And the key aspect of the gallery control is that you can connect to your data source in Power Apps and you can show all that data in a control, which is, okay, someone says, are you sharing? Is my screen being shared? Can someone confirm?
Hi, Reza. Yes, we're still waiting for you to share your screen, please.
Wow, I've given my introduction and everything and nobody saw my screen. Okay, let me try it again. Sorry, guys. Can someone confirm now if you can see?
Yes, we can. Yes, great.
All right, okay. So I was talking about the gallery control and this is the first screen, by the way, so we are all good. So when you connect to your data source in Power Apps, a gallery control is that single control that allows you to show multiple records, multiple items from your data source. And for each of those items that you want to showcase in that gallery, in there you can define which columns from your data source you want to show as part of the gallery. So gallery is a control in which you can have additional controls. And the key thing about a gallery is because it can showcase multiple records, when you are trying to design your gallery, all you need to focus on is the first item of the gallery because that item acts as the template of the gallery. So any design changes I make in that first item of the gallery, all the other items in the gallery will follow suit. Also, because a gallery is a control that contains additional controls, and it's more like a repeating table scenario for folks who are familiar with repeating tables concept, because it showcases multiple records, I don't have to create multiple controls. I can have my main gallery control. I can add my sub controls within it. And that greatly improves the app performance as well. Because think about this, if I want to show 100 records, and if I want to show, let's say, the title and the status of my data, I don't have to add 200 controls to show the status and the title. I can just add a gallery control, connect it to my data source, and add two controls, which is for my status and my title. And that way I significantly reduce the number of controls, also thereby improving the performance of my app. So the key takeaway here and the biggest tip from my side is when you are working with your data source And if you want to showcase multiple records, items, collection of data from your data source, you have to think about galleries. If you're not using galleries, you are probably designing something wrong in Power Apps. Now coming to designs. And designs is more around the user experience that you create when you are designing your gallery. You can design galleries in multiple ways, and these are just a few examples that I've put together. You can have a horizontal gallery where the data or the records are being shown in a horizontal style. You can have a vertical style gallery. You can have a card style gallery wherein your data is being represented in the form of cards. You can have a gallery in the form of an editable grid, similar to Excel. You can have a gallery that is styled as a data table, similar to SharePoint. You can have galleries that shows images with overlays. You can have galleries that show information, that show progress tracking reporting of where you are in the approval process. These are just some examples of how you can design your galleries. I spoke about editable grid. It's one of the most useful concepts of galleries wherein you can create this experience of you can create like a grid-like experience for your users, which is very similar to Excel. And in this, your users can perform full CRUD operations against your data source. Raza, what's CRUD? Create, read, update, and delete. Okay, so you can create records, read records, update multiple records, or delete records, everything on the fly against your data source in a grid-like experience. There is no grid control in Power Apps, but by leveraging the gallery control, you can create an experience similar to a grid control. And I will show you this in the form of a demo. Also, another very common scenario is in Power Apps is you want to create tabs, right? You want to create the tabbed interface because you probably do not have enough real estate on your screen, or maybe the forms that you're trying to design have a lot of columns. Very, very common use case. Well, guess what? Even those tabs that we can create those tabs using galleries, right? So where are the galleries in this picture, Reza? Well, for the first image, that's the gallery right on the top that is showing me the tabs, the info tab, details tab, the attachments tab. In the second example, it's also a tabbed interface, but I'm showing icons instead of text. That also is a gallery. So you can create galleries to have these tab-like experiences as well. Another very common use case is around filtering data, right? You want to filter your data. Now, even in filtering, you can leverage galleries. Okay, so here are three different examples that I've thrown out on the screen here. So let me show you where the galleries are. For the first case, the filter on the left-hand side in that column is actually a gallery. A gallery that is presenting the user with a choice of options to choose from to filter their data, which is also coming in the form of a gallery, right? I'm going to stop here actually. In the chat, I'm seeing a lot of folks saying that they're having issues joining. Raz, can you share them the link or something? Because they're saying they've been trying to join for 15 minutes.
Hello.
Sorry.
Yes, we are aware some people need to sign in with in private browser because of their local authentication issues with their company computers. So kindly please sign into Teams using in private browser. But thanks, Reza. Please proceed. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So you can use a gallery as a filter. So in the first example, I have a gallery that is filtering data in another gallery. In the second example as well, I have a gallery at the bottom, which is my main gallery that is showcasing the data from my data source. But right on the top, those tabs that you see, those selections, the all, pending, approved, decline, those statuses, that also is a gallery. So once again, a gallery to filter data in another gallery. Another very common use case, I need multi-select checkboxes, right? I need radio buttons so that the user can select data from. right? These experiences are not available out of the box. These experiences are things that you have to create for your users. And once again, to the rescue is galleries. Now, I know I kind of breezed through these slides. The reason is because I wanted to show all of this in the form of live demos. So let's not waste any time and use the next 35 to 40 minutes in which I'll show you some real world examples of where I have used galleries. And I'll try and create one from scratch as well, because for the last video that I did on my channel, I received like 200 requests to show that gallery. So I'm going to show that right here today, live. Okay. So let's get to the demo straight away and not waste any time. So the first example that I'm going to share is something known as the Gallery Lookbook app. This was an app that I built probably 6 months ago, in which I designed 5 different galleries, connected it to 5 different data sources. And I have shared this in the community as well. So if you want to go and grab this app and look at the exact code behind every concept that I've plugged in, you can go and check that out. This is available for free in the community. So the first example of a gallery here is a horizontal gallery. Basically a gallery that scrolls horizontally. Reza, where is the scroll bar? Where on the right hand side, we have this nice looking icon here. So if I select this, it will move to the right. If I select this, it will move items to the left. I also have a button here that says show specifications. If I click on this, it's a little bit of animation here. It kind of slides out the data for those specific items, right? So I can show specs, I can hide specs, a little bit of animation in there using the timer control to showcase that data. All of this data is coming from Excel as a data source. This is just an example. And just to also add a little bit of flavor to this, you can even style and color code your galleries. So I have a radio button on the top that says, do you want to enable dark mode for this gallery or the screen? And if I say yes, all I'm doing right here is just setting a variable to the dark gray color, and I'm using that variable for the color coding of my gallery. So a very simple example of how I can leverage a gallery to show data in a horizontal gallery fashion. Okay, that is my first example. Now, before I move ahead, let me kind of squeeze this gallery here and let me show you how a normal gallery looks like. If I go to insert and go to gallery, these are the 6 options we are presented with. And trust me, I've seen a lot of apps, and 95% of the apps look like this. They'll pick one of the standard galleries, connect to their data source, right? And this is what their galleries will look like. Right? Standard gallery look and feel. Look at the difference when you present your data in the right way to the user, right? If you notice here, I don't have a lot of real estate to play with. Maybe I want to show more information. Well, why not have the show and hide feature wherein the card opens up and you save real estate? You open up the card only when you need it, right? Another thing is I wanted to show this in a horizontal fashion. So I've kind of squeezed this in a horizontal fashion. So you can style the galleries the way you like, right? And many a times real estate in apps is probably the most underappreciated feature when designing Power Apps. It's extremely crucial. Right now, I'm showcasing a tablet form-based app, so I have a lot of real estate to play with. But in reality, when you're designing those phone form factor apps, at that time, you really have to think about real estate on your screen. So that's the first example, which is a horizontal gallery. The second example is a gallery that looks like formatted cards. Okay, the data for this example is coming from Microsoft Dataverse. So I just wanted to show different flavors here. And here what happens is I have kind of designed the gallery experience in the form of cards. And how am I showing all the data here? Is this a horizontal gallery? Is this a vertical gallery? Well, first thing, this is a vertical gallery because I can scroll vertically and I see these scrolling options here. Now, if I select this gallery and if you look at the properties on the right hand side, there are 2 options for scrolling in a gallery. One is show the scroll bar. So if I turn this on, which is the default behavior, you get this scroll bar experience on the right. That's one style that comes out of the box. If you don't like it, which I normally don't. So I turn it off and I go to the navigation style. I feel the navigation style looks a lot more modern. And right here, and normal scroll of course works. If I scroll my mouse, it works. Plus I get this step-by-step navigation. You can even define the navigation step, like, go 3 steps down, go 4 steps down. You can do things like that as well inside a gallery. Another thing what I really like about a gallery control out of the box, by the way, is an effect when you hover on an item in the gallery. If you observe closely, when I hover on an item, it kind of pushes that item in. You see this? It kind of pushes that card inside, right? Is that something that I designed? No. In the properties of the gallery itself, and here's that navigation step, by the way, there's something known as transition. And there are 2 transitions you can choose from. By default, it's none. You can pick the push transition. So if you hover on an item in the gallery, it will push, kind of have a push effect wherein it just pushes it in. Or you can have a pop effect. If I preview my app now, check this out. It will pop the card up. See, kind of pops the item out. So I think that's pretty neat. It's a good visual indicator to the user that they are on that specific item. So you can do things like that. You can show images. You can change standard statuses like completed. I'm showing that with a green horizontal bar on the top. If it's in progress, I'm showing yellow. So adding visual indicators adds a lot more value to your cards or gallery items and saves a lot of real estate as well. Honestly, I don't even need to show this line item and I can squeeze in more cards. How did I, so for a vertical gallery, how did I show 4 columns here? Well, there's something known as wrap count. There's a property called wrap count in a gallery. So if I change this to, let's say 5, it will actually show 5 cards. If I change this to 1, it would look like 1 massive card, one row per item, right? Show me 2 rows per item, show me 3 rows per item. So just by changing the wrap count at the bottom, I can change the design of the gallery. Okay. Let me add something else here. Responsive design. Who does not want responsive design? When I go to my tablet experience, it should show me more cards because I have more real estate. If I go to the mobile experience, it should show me 1 card because I don't have enough real estate on my screen. If I go to file and settings and go to screen size and orientation, let me turn off the scaling feature so that the responsive behavior kicks in. So if I preview my app, right now my app will be responsive to my browser dimensions. Now, if I select this gallery here, the width of the gallery, I will set this to parent.width. That's the width of the screen. So if I preview my app, you see the gallery goes full width. If I start reducing my width, you see how the gallery squeezes in and the cards are automatically adjusting themselves. That's not magic. I've written some formulas in there, which I will show you when I build one from scratch. It's not magic. It won't happen in your case. But you see how the cards are automatically positioning themselves. Now, if I'm on the mobile form factor, this looks really bad, right? The cards are trying to squeeze each other in that three column layout. But in a widescreen desktop, maybe I have real estate for 5 cards here. But I'm hard coding something, right? I am hard coding the wrap count to 3. So how do I change the wrap count depending upon the size of my screen? Well, guess what? There is a really cool feature in Power Apps, which is called screen.size. Okay. So my screen name here is a bad name, Gallery Lookbook 2. So I'm going to say Gallery Lookbook 2, and I messed it up. Gallery Lookbook 2 dot size. And what size gives me is a number. It gives me a number 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 means I'm on the browser. 3 means I'm in a tablet device held horizontally. 2 means tablet device held vertically. 1 means I'm on a mobile device. This is an inbuilt property in Power Apps. If I leverage that property as the wrap count of my gallery, and if I preview my app now, check this out. I have enough real estate right now, so it puts 4 cards. Let me start squeezing this in. Check this out. Now it's placed it in a 1 card format, right? It has more real estate, 2 cards. More real estate, 3 cards. Full real estate, 4 cards. So suddenly that simple gallery that I just created and styled, which is always non-responsive in nature, becomes responsive just by adding those few formulas here and there, right? So you can create these really, really cool experiences for your users. Okay, Let me go back to the canvas size. Okay, let me go to the third example here. This one is once again a gallery that shows data in the form of cards, but this time I'm also adding filters, right? So a gallery that is getting filtered by certain filters that I've defined for my screen. For example, show me all my data where the priority is high. And there you go, it's showing me all my high priority items. Show me all my items where the priority is high, the status is either completed or not started. Now, this is filtering data in a gallery. This is a standard feature in Power Apps, not out of the box, but you got to code it. You got to define what your filter criteria looks like. And I've kind of defined that. That's not the goal of this meeting, by the way. The goal here is to show you how I've used a gallery to filter another gallery. So if you observe the task status option here on the top, the task status is actually a gallery as well. You see this? It's a gallery. And it's a gallery that has a checkbox control in it. The data for the gallery is coming from my choices column of type choices that I created in Dataverse. For SharePoint folks, if you have a choice column in your SharePoint list, you can use choices again. You'll get all your data right here. So a gallery that is showing me data from my data source and automatically creating this checkbox experience. There is nothing out of the box in Power Apps that gives you that. So you have to create that. And once again, I've leveraged what? A gallery. So a gallery to filter data in another gallery. Next, pagination. Okay. In galleries out of the box in Power Apps, there is no concept of pagination. Right? There is no control. There's no magic control in Power Apps that says, okay, I have a data table or I have a gallery and I want to show, I want to paginate my data. You can't do that. But guess what? With galleries, you have a lot more control, right? So in this case, I have a gallery here. I've tried to mimic a SharePoint list here. I've tried my best to mimic how a SharePoint list looks like. A SharePoint list has styles, right? You can have a compact list style. So you see how I'm changing something when I change list and contact list. You see how there is more padding that is added to the gallery. How do I do that? Very easy. For the gallery control, there's something known as template padding. All I'm checking to see if the style is compact, set the padding to 0, otherwise add a padding of 10. That's why when I change this, and this keeps switching to the responsive behavior, but when I change this, all I'm doing is basically adding padding to my gallery, nothing else. So it looks cool, it looks like SharePoint, but it is a gallery. And of course, pagination. I have my pagination size here, right here. I have some formulas wherein it's calculating the total number of items, dividing it by my pagination size, and showing me the information at the bottom here. I have 4 pages. I can scroll through my records. I can change the pagination size on the fly, so it'll change the page size as well accordingly. All of these behaviors are possible thanks to galleries. Of course, these are backed up by a lot of formulas. Everything what I'm showing you today, I have done independent videos on this with deep dives into formulas. If you really want to deep dive into this, how this was built, I would recommend you to check those out. But I wanted to show you that you can use and create experiences like SharePoint as well right here in Power Apps. And the fifth one, probably one that I use a lot in projects. In fact, every second project I go into, the requirement is we want bulk updates. We want a grid-like experience. Who does not want that? And in Power Apps, and I actually have a separate app, so I'll show you this one. In Power Apps, you can use a gallery to create a grid-like experience. So this is a gallery control here, a standard gallery control. But if I click on edit here, and this is just a button that I created, and on click of this, I set a variable. I've actually transformed my gallery into an editable grid, like a grid, right? Wherein I can make changes, right? So let's say the priority of this item is high, and you know what? I completed this. This one I have not yet started, so I made changes. Let me click on save. And all of these are getting saved to my data source in one go. In one go, one shot, it just pushes all the updates out to my data source. I want to add a row to this grid. I click on add row. It adds a record in my backend data source. In this case, I believe this is SharePoint. So right here, I can create a new task. I'm presenting on galleries here. So I just create a new task, medium priority, status in progress, and I'll put the date, click OK, click save. That's it. It pushes that to my data source. So an Excel-like, a grid-like experience is what you can create right here as well. I have done a couple of videos on this one with uh, which I believe SharePoint has a data source which looks exactly like this. And for Dataverse for Teams, I've done one for that as well. So go and check that out. If you're working with Dataverse for Teams, I think that's a really cool grid that you can leverage. So these were some examples here of how you can leverage galleries. Let me switch over to a different tenant now and show you more. This time I'll show you a full-fledged app, a leave request solution. Okay, a user can log in, and I can log in as an employee or as an approver. If I log in as an employee, it's going to show me all my current leave requests. Now, where are the galleries? This is a gallery, this right here. This is showing me all my leaves from my data source. And how am I doing that? Very simple. I have a gallery and I have filter defined here that says filter my data source where the created by user is me. So it's going to show me all my records. On the top, I have another gallery, and this gallery acts as a filter. So if you notice the items property of this gallery, I've kind of hard-coded my statuses here. I could have got it from my data source. I should have got it from my data source. But once again, I've used a gallery. I've not added buttons. I've seen a lot of folks do this, right? They keep adding buttons, button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4. What's the problem with that? Well, every control that you add, Power Apps has to render that when the user accesses that screen in memory. Performance degrades, right? With a gallery, let's say I had 10 buttons here. How many controls does a gallery require to render 10 controls? Well, the gallery and the button, just two. Just two. As against me adding buttons manually. I see a lot of folks doing that. Well, Reza, 10 buttons over 2 buttons, what's the big deal? Well, what if I have 20 screens in my app wherein I need all those buttons? Now it might be a big deal. In Power Apps, the recommendation from Microsoft is not to have more than 500 controls throughout your app. Not more than 500. It's documented. How many people think about it? How many people implement it? Very few. And what ends up happening is you keep building screens, you keep adding controls, you don't use galleries because they are truly reusable in the sense they truly reduce your controls. We don't do that, and then we end up in experiences that customers may not be happy about, specifically talking about performance here. So I have a gallery on the top, and when I select here, it's going to filter the data in my gallery at the bottom. If I say approved, it will show me my approved request. If I click declined, it's going to show me my declined request. Extremely powerful user experience here, right? Clear cut. I can see what the filters are. I can see where my data is. I can see a progress of my approval. Now I can even create a new request. Now here you will notice that I have a radio button wherein the user can pick the leaf type. Okay. This column in my backend data source is a choice column. Let me show you what happens when you add a choice column to a data card. Okay, let me show you exactly how it renders in Power Apps out of the box. It is called, my column is called leaf type. So I'll add that column. This is how it renders. This is what you'll get, right? And I can select my option. That's it. What if I want to show this? What if I want to show all the options? Is that available out of the box? No. What do people do? I've seen a lot of folks do this. They'll go and add radio buttons and hard code every one of them in there. Well, what can I do? What's a better way? Well, why not? Why not? In here, okay. Now in this case, I have not utilized the gallery, but you have the radio button control, and I'm using once again that same magic formula called choices. If I wanted to create a checkbox experience here, I can do that in the form of galleries as well. Let me show you how. I'm going to expand this. Okay, let's say user can select multiple things. Makes no sense. You can't have multiple leaf types, but just assume that's your use case. I'll go to this data card, edit this card. I will go and insert a blank horizontal gallery, okay, which will always go out of my data card. So I will do Control X, go to my card and paste it right in here. So my gallery sits in here. Now for this gallery, of course, the height is going to break. I'm going to try and fit this right in. For the items property of this gallery, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use choices of, same concept, okay? Choices of my list dot a choice column. And in my case, my choice column is called leave type. And as part of this gallery, right? Let me first close my items formula. As part of this gallery, I will go ahead and insert, let's say, a checkbox control. And for the text of the checkbox control, I will use this item dot value. Okay. And I will squeeze the height of the gallery in. I will squeeze the template within, and I will select my gallery. And I will increase the width. Okay. And I think I need more real estate to fit my longer items in. Just a little bit more. Okay. And kind of squeeze this in. Okay. Okay. Looks fine. It's all right. It's all right. This is just a demo. I'm going to try and squeeze this in. Okay. So check this out. Right. I just created a multi-select like experience by just changing my data card on the fly. Right. Another very, very useful feature. Another common feature is when you're using combo boxes. Right. This is a combo box. A combo box can only search for 500 records. I think somebody is mentioning that in the chat maybe. A gallery has no such limitations. Can connect to my data source, get all the data, filter the data, give user refiners, so they can go and search for information. Right. If I go back to my home screen and log in as an approver, here I'm looking at all my data cards again, which is again a gallery that's showing me this information. Now let me quickly show you how to create a card-like experience. Something I won't build exactly this, but something similar to this, okay, from scratch. So I'll create a new screen and I'll show you a standard gallery versus my gallery. So here's a standard typical gallery that we all create, including me. We go to gallery, we go to vertical, and we connect to our data source, which in my case is a SharePoint list. And this is what our gallery looks like. And yeah, I don't need the image. So okay, I'm going to keep it this way. This is our common gallery look, right? Now I'll add my own gallery. Okay, I'll add a vertical gallery again. I'll place it on the right. I will connect it to my leave request list. Now, first thing is I'm looking out for a card style. Okay. I don't have an image as part of this system, so no point in me having images. I'll swap over to this style. I don't need the icon, so I'm going to remove this. Remember, the gallery is a collection of items. When you're making a change, you're making a change only to the first item of the gallery. So you see this little pencil icon here? You got to select this. It highlights the first item in the gallery, and this is where you make changes. Any change I make, all the items in the gallery will follow suit. Check this out. I'm going to pick this, move this to the right. You see how all the other ones will follow. See, I'm going to move this here. So all I have to change is the first item. All the other items will follow suit. That's one. If I don't need this icon, I'll select this, click delete. It's gone from all the other items. Now I want to create a card-like experience, right? To create cards, I need to create them in the form of columns. So in this case, I'll go to wrap count, and I showed you how to make this responsive earlier. Let's say I want to fit 2 cards. So I'll do 2. And just like that, my records now show up in 2 rows, right? In 2 columns. Next, I want to start fitting things the right way. I need to create that card-like experience. So first thing, I need the title of my data, which is right here. Now, many folks do this, right? We move the width, we move the control around. Don't do that, right? Why? Why should I not move this here? You know, I want to keep it here. Why don't I just hard code the position? Well, the reason is because if let's say tomorrow you decide to change this, I change this to 3. You see how everything breaks? You see the word sick is associated with this card, but it's gone outside of the card because I hard coded the position of it. Never hard code. Okay. So what do I do if I don't want to hard code that? Well, this is what you do. Here's my text label, right? If I go to the X property, that's the X position. Keep it at 0. Start it from the beginning. The width of this. Now, if I hard code the width, which we all do, right? Right now it's 120. As I change this, notice how the width changes. Never hard code. If I just write a simple formula, which is parent.template width, that means whatever is the width of the template, you take that entire width. And now if I just go to the home tab and center align this text, let me now click this and change the wrap count to, let's say, 3. If you observe, it will automatically place it correctly in the center. See, if I change the wrap count to 4, it will still place it correctly in the center because it's adhering to the width of my template. And the width of my template is this. As I change the width, even if I do it manually, so let's say I change this to 2 and I edit this, I change the width of the template. You see how the word is exactly sitting in the center. That's responsiveness. Now, if I make my gallery responsive, this is also going to be responsive because I am creating responsive design here. And I can do the same thing for detail as well. I'll set the X position as 0 and I'll set the width as parent.template width. You see, it was already there. Boom. And let's center align this. Okay. Now, for my card, I'm going to increase the width. I need more real estate, height and width. So I'll increase the height and width of the template. I will probably position them here. Okay. Now I want to show the status. Okay. And instead of showing the status as a text, I want to show it as a color coded bar. So now this is a gallery. I want to add a control inside the gallery. Go to insert. I will go to icons. I will scroll to the bottom and pick a rectangle shape. Once again, I'm positioning it here. Height and the X property is fine, but the width is that something I don't want to hard code. So what I'll do for the width, same as before, parent dot width, sorry, template width. Okay. Now I've got this bar and I'm going to change this bar to view mode because I don't want the user to do anything with this. It's just a status indicator. How do I change the color? Well, let's go to the fill property. And here is where I can define my color. And I want to change my color depending upon the status. So here, if I just add another control in here just to print the current status. So status dot value, these are all coming from my data source. So status, one of the statuses is approved, one is declined. Okay, so for my rectangle control, for the fill property, I'm going to write a simple formula. Switch case, switch this item dot status dot value. Okay, if the value is approved, what color do you want to give here? Well, let me give the color dark green. Okay, if it is declined, what color do you want to give? Well, I want to give the color dark red. Right? If it is anything else, just for now, I'm just going to try and keep this thing simple. I'll select the color. I quite like this one, dark goldenrod. Okay. Now, if I preview my app, check this out. It's actually color coding that depending upon the status. Right? So if it's approved, it's green. If it's declined, it's red. If it's anything else, which in my case is pending related statuses, it'll be yellow. Okay. So I was able to do that. Great. But Reza, this doesn't look like cards. This does not look like cards. And what's this clunky scroll? Well, just change the clunky scroll out. So now we don't have that scroll bar. We have this nice looking navigation button here. I like it. But I don't see cards. Well, for that, what we can do is this. I can select my template. There's something known as template padding. If I just add a little bit of padding here, let's say 40, right? Everything will squeeze in. You see that? It looks like these mini cards now. Inside a gallery, purposely I've put the border because I wanted to show you this is the context of the gallery. But here is a card-like experience that I just quickly built out, right? I want to create that push pop experience. Let's do that. Let's go to transition and pop. So if I preview this, if I hover, you see how the card pops out. Reza, the card has no border, right? The card has no border. What do I do? Very easy. Go ahead, add another rectangle shape in there. For this shape, set the X 0, set the Y 0, set the width, parent dot template width, remember responsiveness, and set the height, parent dot template height. Okay, Raza, it's kind of eaten up the entire card. Yes, that's the goal. We wanted to eat up the entire card. Now I'll give this a border. So let's say border 2. So it's going to have a border. And for the fill color for this, for the fill property, I will set this to transparent. Okay, now if I preview the app, check this out. This looks like cards, right? And this is responsive. Let me prove it to you. If I change this to 3, you see? It's all responsive. If I change my card to 1, 4, let's go even one better. Let's do what I did before. I'm going to go the full width, right? So the width here is going to be no hard codings. Remember, parent dot width. Okay, and the what's that wrap count? I'm going to change this to my screen name, which is screen2. Never name it screen2. Screen2 dot size. Okay. Now, if I preview the app, I don't have responsiveness turned on for my app. Let me go to settings, go to screen size and orientation, and turn off scale to fit. Reza, you're too fast. Yes, because I don't have time to show you a lot of things. So here you go. Check this out. Built on the fly in this session without any planning, honestly. But here's a responsive gallery. Check this out. On the phone experience, mobile experience, on a tablet held vertically, tablet held horizontally on the browser. Reza, your height is not responsive. Well, that's because I need to, for the gallery, the Y property needs to be 0 and the height of my gallery needs to be parent.height. Now let's test it out. Even the height will be responsive. Check this out. See this? See this? And see this nice looking scrolling thing here? So you can change your galleries to look the way you like, right? You don't have to stick to the standard boring look of a gallery, right? If I go to my home screen here, I have used exactly that same concept of that cards here. Everything is the same. The only difference here is my status here, in which I've actually added 3 images. These are 3 images, okay? And I'm just getting the values from my column. And then I'm also showing statuses here in form of icons. So I've just added additional controls, nothing special here, but I've made it look like cards. I've made it, drive the status. Here's that rectangle shape again. Same concept, same concept. Okay. I showed you multiple galleries earlier, so I won't go through this. I'll show you another one here. This is an inspection app that I built. So check this out. Again, a gallery with overlay text, right? With an effect of push, or in fact, in this case, it's a pop effect. It's popping out when I hover on this. And this style is an out-of-the-box style, by the way. So if I select my gallery and go to layout, one of the styles, if you scroll right to the bottom, is that title. If you have good images, of course, is title and overlay. See this? It just looks good. Okay. Here's another one. Work task. Right? I have a gallery that is filtering another gallery. Right? Once again, I just use the gallery, same concept as before, color coding, depending upon the status, changing the field, exactly the same concept, right? Here's another one, bulk updates. Who does not want to bulk update their data in one go? I need those checkboxes. This is my gallery, right? Let the user select. As the user selects, I load the data into a collection. I even have a check all option here, so the user can check all the items in the gallery. And let's say I'm going to say, for all these items, let's change the status. Let's change the status to in progress and hit update. And in one go, within 1 second, the status of all the items in my data source have changed to in progress. Okay. You can do a lot of things with galleries. These were I just tried to throw in everything and show you all the possibilities here, filtering, multi-select, choices, designing, horizontal, vertical. So I hope these demos were compelling, and the end result of this is you're going to go back to all your apps. And if anywhere you've hard coded, you're going to replace that with galleries. And here's another last example before I go, content scheduler. Here's an app in SharePoint, right? I think I added a gallery here too. This you see right here, these are tabs. Okay. These are not hard coded buttons. These are not hard coded icons. These are galleries. Okay. These are galleries, and you can use these for creating navigation scenarios. You can use these for creating grids. So many different experiences can be created with galleries. And now back to my presentation. And because I want to open the floor up for questions for the last 10 minutes for the entire audience, here are the details to connect with me, and thank you. I hope that was not a whirlwind session. Questions?
Hello, Reza. Well, that definitely was a whirlwind session, but it was a very good whirlwind session.
Thank you.
Very well, and it really complemented the theme of today's sessions as well. So thank you so much. It was really, the topic was on point, and definitely a lot to learn. I learned a lot, and I'm sure the attendees did as well. So there are some questions. One of the questions is by Sravani, who's asking, the app app checker shows warnings when there are more than 300 controls,
Yes.
but accounts to the documentation, it is 500.
Agreed. The app checker and the documentation are never in sync. But the recommendation that is not officially documented is 300, but the max that they want you to go to is 500. So app checker is something that evolves over time, and its duty is to keep warning you. So if there are any performance issues, delegation issues specifically, you got to check out the app checker. Good point though.
So Jihan is saying when it comes to filtering data, sometimes it doesn't work with a huge number of items in that gallery. So what am I missing?
You're missing delegation. And in my YouTube channel, I have 10 videos on delegation. Go check that out. Delegation is the ability of Power Apps to delegate the work of performing the query to the data source. If Power Apps has to do the work, so if I'm querying let's say a SharePoint list, it has 50,000 records, right? If Power Apps has to query 50,000 records, it has to load 50,000 records in memory. Power Apps is never going to do that. Power Apps is going to ask the data source, can you perform the query on my behalf? If yes, great, perform the query and send me data back in batches. That's optimization, and that's by design in the Power Platform. If Power Apps asks the data source to do the query and the data source cannot do it, then what happens is the data source just returns a subset of the records. It won't return 50,000. It will return depending upon the delegation size. So let me show you, where do you see that setting in the app? If I go to my app and go to file and go to settings, advanced settings, the number one setting right here on the top is that limit. And this can be a maximum of 2000. I see everyone do this, never do this. 2000 is also a no performance gain. Ideally, this should be 1. If you build a truly responsive app, delegable app, set this to 1.
Awesome. Peter Wynn says layout container could also be inside of a gallery template.
Layout container can also be in. So I did a video on responsive designing. I think you're relating to those responsive layout containers. Yes, in that I used a gallery and a form inside a layout container. So yes, it can be.
So Shagor says, this was my very first Reza experience. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Are your deep dive videos available on YouTube?
Yes. They are all available on YouTube. YouTube, Reza Dorani. I don't want to give out my stats, but let's see what we see in YouTube. If you go to videos, I think I have over 100 videos now. So all those deep dives, right? Galleries, responsive grids, everything's here, everything. And I respond to questions as well. If you ask the right questions in my for my specific YouTube videos, I'm always there responding.
Well, there you go. So Sarita says, great, amazing. Thank you so much, Reza. Vignesh says, seems like a great rain. Got to the end. Okay, fantastic. Well done, Vignesh, for getting to the end, and it was well worth it. Jerry says, excellent presentation. Demo was fantastic. Atta says, love it. Sharma says, excellent, Reza, loved it. Bongi says, excellent way to end. Thank you. AJ says, awesome, Reza. Thank you much. And a lot to take away. Thank you so much. Lawrence Reed asks, do you teach the app in a day classes?
I do. Those are actually Microsoft run events. So my organization runs those, and I'm always like the guy at the back. I just sit quietly and listen to my employees running app in a day. But yeah, there are times when I run it. If you follow me on Twitter, whenever I'm running it, I do post about it. So follow me on Twitter. I'll put my Twitter handle out as well, so you guys can reach out to me, and I'll keep you posted. If I don't think I'm doing one for the next 2 months, but maybe one in June. I'll probably do one in June.
So Sravani asks, I love the way you emphasize the importance of coordinates instead of dragging the controls around.
Yeah, that's all for response. If you don't care about responsive design, just go ahead and just drag your controls around. If you care about responsiveness, you can't do that. If you touch that control and even drag it, your formula is gone.
Mazen says, thank you, Mr. Reza. And Ahmed says, I couldn't. Oh, right. So he couldn't unfortunately join. Tripathi says, in which scenario which gallery we should pick?
In which scenario, which gallery? So I'm assuming you're talking about styling, and the answer is the classic answer, it depends. It depends. The key thing is just to pick galleries. If you know you're trying to show more than one record, just go ahead and pick galleries.
So Vignesh, in response to what you mentioned about delegation, he says delegation issues are like goosebumps for me, mainly when it comes to SharePoint data sources.
Yeah. And on my channel, I have actually covered with SharePoint. And that's actually my experience I had in two projects. The first two projects in Power Apps I did, the key takeaway from that was delegation. So go and check that out. Responsive design is there, delegation is there, flows are there. I have everything there. So I recently received a comment that says, Reza, you have everything. So you guys go and tell me if I have everything on my channel.
Subjan says, I am loving the Power Apps gallery now. You nailed it well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vignesh says, is there any limit in numbers for having nested container?
Yes, if you are doing nesting, you're making a mistake in designing. But I think there is a limit. I don't think you can go down below. Don't hold me for this, but I think 9. But don't do it. If you're building nested containers, imagine your formulas. It's going to be crazy, right? Your child container has to adhere to the design of the parent, right? Parent has to adhere to its parent. So it can get very complicated and very crazy. Check my videos on responsive design. I've shown responsive galleries, forms, everything you need in an app. I've kind of shown it in those 4 videos on responsive design. And best thing to do on my channel, if you're confused, there are too many videos, I'm getting confused, just go to playlist. I've actually created a playlist for almost everything. So here's the playlist on delegation. Here's the playlist on SharePoint list formatting or approvals or whatever you need. So go and check that out.
So Davey says superb. Jihan says, yes, I've seen every single video. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rafat says, I love it.
Thank you.
Richard Griffiths says, excellent presentation. My first Reza demo. Wow. So congratulations, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
Your first Reza experience. Tripathy says, when should we use flexible height gallery?
Great question. Amazing question. I didn't cover that. Flexible height galleries. To kind of cover up some of the issues around delegation, sometimes you got to use flexible height galleries. The beauty of flexible height galleries is if you know your content length is or the height of your content. Let's say you have a description column that you're showing as part of the gallery. Every item might have a different description. One might have 20 characters, one might have 200 characters. That's the place where you start thinking about flexible height galleries. The key thing to note about flexible height galleries is because Power Apps automatically calculates the height at runtime, you cannot decide the wrap count. So you saw the wrap count property I showed today. I changed it to 1, 2, 3. You don't have that property on for flexible height galleries. So they are very useful. There are scenarios in which you use them. As I said, that's one scenario. There are many times wherein you want to show height things. You could do that with flexible height galleries. It's extremely powerful.
Vignesh says, sure, Reza, your channel is a library for Power Apps and Power Automate. I'm a great fan of yours.
Thank you.
Dan saying, awesome. Mario's asking, is there a video about responsiveness?
Yes, sir. There is a full playlist on responsiveness. There are 4 videos, I think, 4 on responsiveness.
There you go. Cheryl saying, thank you, Reza. Your videos are on Dataverse for Teams have been exceptionally helpful. And this session was great as well.
Thank you, Cheryl. Dataverse for Teams, when I made those videos, it was called something else. So my videos are good, but I'm making new ones on them. So be on the lookout for them.
And we also have Cheryl and Shagar, because they have been so. I know we announced our winners for the Power Apps books at the beginning of the event. However, because Cheryl and Shagar have been so interactive, they also win a copy of those books as well. So Cheryl, could you please send which book you would like, if it's the Power Apps Functional Consultant book or if it's the Power Apps Developer book? Please share that. You are a winner. And same likewise yourself, Shagar, as well. Please send which one it is. You are a winner. So there you go. A great way to end with Reza himself. Fantastic. And Tripathi saying you are an inspiration to us. You are indeed. Yes. So again, Reza, we really appreciate that you was able to close off to the first day of the boot camp. We do continue tomorrow. Reza, do you have any final words before we wrap up for today?
Final words. There are a lot of events going on today, so there's a lot of knowledge available everywhere. So whenever you get the time, invest in yourself. So even if it's an hour, if there are any good events, good sessions going on, go join them. I'm sure you'll learn something new. There are a lot of folks who are contributing here in the community. Go follow them, follow the right people, follow the right content, and mainly keep yourself up to date with the latest and greatest in the Power Platform. And if you learn something cool, share it. That's what I do.
Well, there you have it. So again, great words from Reza to wrap up this first day of the Power Apps Bootcamp. So we do continue tomorrow. So you can see the agenda that we have lined up for tomorrow as well. I want to thank Reza for taking time out of his busy schedule to be able to share his knowledge. Always grateful, Reza. So thank you once again. Thank you for all the attendees who made it all the way.